Welcome to the Hot Girl Healing Summer. I am Janine. I am the host of Intentional Queen Podcast. I'm also a certified life coach on self-love, growth mindset, the author of my new ebook. Y'all see it in the back. And I'm also a speaker. So if you are joining, I just want to make sure that I want to thank you so much for joining in. We're going to give people some time to come in. So as you come in, just let me know, if you're ready. Hashtag ready. Let me know. We wanted to do Hot Girl Healing Summer because before last fall, I should say, we did the Healing Summit. And that was like my first year podcast anniversary. I'm letting more people come in. As more people come in, we'll start. But I just want to go ahead and just fill this time in. Last year, like I said, we did in October the Healing Summit. And what that was just a podcast anniversary. We were just having a few of my friends come on and bless us with such a good word that people slid in my DM and said, "Nee, you need to do it again." And I figured, let's do it in another season, which would be Hot Girl Summer season. I wanted to go here and make sure that I had two lovely ladies come through. We got Miss Ashley, and we also gonna have Miss Erin coming in, getting this word out. So I'm just going to recap. I hope y'all getting y'all notebooks and pens. Erin and Ashley has been serving y'all some good tea that y'all need to know. Erin says suffering in silence, and then Ashley followed up with not alone. I believe in that. Like, you are not alone when you make community. Intentional Queen Journey was a community I birthed because I felt the same way. I felt alone, and I said, God transplanted me into a new area, and I was just coaching on this. You create your own tribe if you don't feel comfortable in the tribe that you're in. And I end up finding these ladies by just reaching out on social media. They're not even in my state. They're not even anywhere close to where I am. That's why I say God is good. Okay. Shame and guilt. Me and Ashley talked on our podcast episode about that. That shame, that guilt that you feel, that's all ego. The struggle is real with the ego. And when you can die to self and die to flesh, it's hard. But when you can die to that thing, I think Ashley said, "Well, she said, I'm gonna wear a t-shirt. They all buy." I felt that because it's like, you know what? It's nothing like going through all those things, but feeling by yourself. And so this is what this is all about. I am a divorcee. So as she said, she has some years on that thing. I had some years on me on trying to create my new normal. And also being a single mom, it's just been a challenge. It wasn't something that I really wanted to go through, but we're doing what we're doing. And I also believe that you win or you learn. You don't win or lose, you win or you learn. And when you learn, you just figure out how you're going to pivot from that point. What you are going to do, what you're not going to do, is something there for you. I wrote down also because she talked about that victimhood. Sometimes we do get sucked up into that whole woe is me. And I'm going to talk more about that when I get to my spot because that was on there. So y'all been hitting on things that I really feel are for healing. So this is what I'm telling you. We are in alignment. That's my new word today, alignment. The bruised caterpillar resembles the victimhood. And as you know, I got on my butterfly earrings and how I really feel that the stages of a butterfly are so important because nobody wants to do all the particular steps, but they want the end results and you got to do the work. Standing still, Ashley said. Woo! Stand where you standing. And sometimes it's hard. That power of the S word. I'm just sitting here. That strong word, that is hard. That is hard. I'm sitting here. I did a whole video on that. And I'm sitting here getting tearful because people don't understand the silent battles that people face and how hard it is to be strong when you really want to just rest. And that's the whole purpose, is rest into God, rest into the pocket and just ride this thing on out because the storm will end. That's why I'm always talking about eagles, because that's what eagles do. They ride up and they soar on top of the storms and they ride out on the clouds. Or if you want to talk about the bow and arrow concept that I talk about all the time, God is the arrow and God is the bow and you are the arrow. And when he puts tension on the bow, that is for you to rest in the pocket, because when you shoot your shot, you're going to hit your target on point. But nobody wants to rest when you put in tension. That's when you're struggling and you're doing all the things. That's when you got to just rest. So that's a part of healing. I feel like these ladies went on and spoke on some big things. Intentional Queen podcast was birthed from me losing myself and just speaking life into myself, and realized I was speaking life into people all over the world. And so I just believe that's how I created community. So what way are you creating community for yourself? And so we're going to keep it moving. It's my turn now. I really prayed. I was already telling in the green room that this has been a week. And I really believe this event is major on some level. I don't feel like it's going to be today. I feel like it's going to be later when people watch this. Something's going to happen from what is going to be birthed from what we have brought to the table. And I just really am praying over this event that I just want us to just continue to keep going. That's been my word. So I had my whole speech and I just told the ladies in the back 20 minutes before we started, God put something different on my spirit and I'm going to go with it. Okay. And this is when Ashley also said it too. When God speaks to you, you know how he speaks to you. You know when to listen. And God has spoke to me about some things that he needed to do. And so I want to talk about testimony of evolution. And so that's going to be my talk. I always say to people, figure out your word of the year. And my word of the year is evolve. And I'm really big on evolution. And that started from me loving myself from a different place, coming out of those storms and not being stuck in shame, not being stuck in all the things that was holding me back, changing the lens of myself. Because sometimes, like I said, I did hit lonely when I went through things because people really judged me and they left me out there for the cold, but my roots came. And then I had my extension of my branches. The leaves may have left because it was fall and winter, but now I'm in my spring and summer. And so all I'm saying is you can create community. Don't think what it looked like is what it's going to be because, like we said, what you thought it was might not have been really what it is. Changing your lens, changing your thoughts. So that leads into this. It happened for you. When I was going through one of my muddy situations, that's what I call it, coming through the mud. If y'all look at the flyer, I have us coming out of lotus flowers. And lotus flowers come up through the murky water. And you can see that it's purple water, but it's water. And what it means is when they come up through, they come up through the mud. They come up from dirt. They come up from things that they're trying to get the stains off. And they can still be beautiful because people try to put you into a label and try to put you somewhere that you don't even have to be. So remember that it happened for you. There was one episode that I listened to. It was a sermon by his name was Bishop Knowles, and he said you had to go through it. One of the things is you're standing where you're standing, you won't be moved. And when they come with that contrary wind, you've been there and you've done that. And what I mean by that is people will come and they will cause so many issues. And I'm speaking lightly on some of my problems because part of my story is I try to not put it into a blaming, but just stating the facts. And I went through a lot. My tribe knows I went through a lot. And it's been a challenge, but I look at where I've come and I'm so proud of myself, even to just be on this live with you right now. Koi fishes, let's talk about them real quick. They go through upstream because that's perseverance. They go against the grain. So sometimes you got to go against the grain to get to where you're going. A lot of times you want to try to be in a space and you realize that you don't really fit in. Well, maybe that's not the way. You may have to move and do something else. There was something I was listening to, and this was on Joyce Meyer's podcast, and she said the donkey concept. And this is going to be for somebody. And there was two farmers. And what happened is the farmer was getting ready to move to another space, move all the animals and everything like that. Well, there was one spot that he didn't have for a donkey or a horse, we'll call it. And so therefore the farmer said, I don't want to leave it. I don't want to leave it. So the other one said, okay, let's bury it. Okay, I'm going somewhere with this. Stay with me. So what the two farmers did is they dug a hole for this horse. They put the horse down in the hole. Okay. And then what they did is they took their shovels and they dumped it and they dumped it and they dumped it. The whole time the horse is freaking out like, oh my gosh, what is happening, right? Making all these noises. Next thing you know, the horse stops neighing and then it shakes off the dirt. It starts to stand on it. So what happens here is this thoughts of you're trying to bury me versus I can use this as fuel. Stay with me. So I'm using my dirt. I'm standing on my dirt because at some point it will come so high you'll just walk on out there. So God is preparing you for something that is bigger. So the donkey concept is just because they threw dirt on your name, just because they threw dirt on you, just because they was coming for you does not mean that you cannot keep moving through the adversity. That's why I believe there is strength in adversity. I mean that wholeheartedly, that there is strength in adversity. I put up 11,000 people watch that reel about the cake and about strength in adversity. And so what I'm telling you is people out here who struggling, let me tell you something. I'm standing in it, okay? And it is real and you can get through. Oh, I just had a little testimony on myself. And becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable. This one right here. I was uncomfortable about doing lives. I was uncomfortable about telling my story. I don't come from you speaking all your personal business. I don't come from, you come from me and I'm going to send right back for you.
dying to the ego. That was hard. And that's when God works with you. And so when you can become comfortable with being uncomfortable, next thing you know, you meet people all over the world. You start doing things that you didn't used to do. You coaching women and you bringing them through things. You're speaking into a mic and speaking life into yourself and then speaking life into people. But it starts with having vulnerability. That came from a book from Brene Brown called The Power of Vulnerability. Sometimes people don't want to be vulnerable because when you're vulnerable, you look weak, and then the sharks smell blood and then they come for you. That's when you need to know God cover you. That's the cocoon phase. So you could be cocooned while you working on you. Because when I was going through and people was laughing and everybody had jokes and people was leaving me, it was funny to them. But now look at me now. That's why I said take that time for you and do what you need to do because God will cover you in those moments when you let go and die to self. Boundaries. Okay, back to Miss Aaron. We was talking about the fixing. Okay, when you out here being a people pleaser and fix it, you carrying all this weight that's not even your weight. I call that the Dora the Explorer backpack analogy. Okay, Dora the Explorer is that cartoon. I got kids, so you know we be out here watching stuff, and they be talking about backpack, backpack. What happens is you taking on the weight and carrying everybody else's problems. Okay, and then you're not even taking care of yourself. Me and Erin both talked on her Instagram live about kids. She was still working and she was having a tubal pregnancy, and I'm still working, intubating people, and I done lost my baby, half miscarriage. So the whole point we're saying is we can be so concerned with others and never taking care of ourselves. So there is a balance between knowing how to pour back into yourself in order to pour into others. That's why I even labeled my whole newsletter as intentional queen refuel because I feel like you have to refuel yourself. You have to take care of yourself. I got my friend watching LaTorsha P. She is the pro on self-care. And so you have to do those things. It's a non-negotiable. And so that's something that I want you to think about and have healthy boundaries. You can have boundaries, but I think sometimes we got the flim flam boundary, which means is they try you and then you be like, well, I don't want to upset people. No, you have to be clear. Boundaries are for you, not for them. That's what you're allowing to take care of your peace and maintain your peace. Last year, my word of the year was peace, and I wanted to pivot towards peace. So I got real keen on my boundaries, even when it came to my son. And that is something that I'm speaking over parents as well. The kids is watching, they will try you as well. Make sure you stand on your boundaries and mean what you say and do it because they will respect you more. Another thing I want to get into purge. Aaron called that the stank milk, but I call it purging. Okay. Purge what no longer serves you. Okay. Know your capacity. We talk about the water. If you got two jugs, okay, and one's all way filled up and one's halfway, the one that has the most cannot take on as much, but the one that is without can take some. So know what you can take. That's where that whole strong and that fixer thing, you be doing the most. That's superwoman syndrome. Let that thing go. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. You can pace yourself. And that's where that whole self-love and self-care comes in. Calmness. Whew. All week. All week, y'all. I was tried with this calmness thing. And this is how I know God will work with you. James Allen wrote a book called As a Man Thinketh. And his key quote is calmness is mastery. How you deal with your storms when you go through instead of always fighting. Sometimes it is standing still. Sometimes it's being calm. Listen, I didn't pivot this whole day. I know Aaron and Ashley know I didn't pivoted this whole day, but I'm still calm and I still show up and I'm still going to be me and I'm going to just be the best person I can be. And when you're doing that and you let go of the ego, it is so much better than sitting there trying to fight every battle, come back for anybody that's coming for you. Let them go ahead and talk. Like I said on that Instagram, they're behind you for a reason. Keep going. Sometimes people call you back to that space because they want you to entertain that, and you don't have to. Snoop Dogg said that's closing the gap. If you're here, you're not better than them. So I want to be clear. It's not about being better than anybody, but it's talk about you're a giraffe. Y'all know how I feel about that. You're a giraffe in these streets. You have vision. You're going far. If you're going this way, sometimes people want to pull you back down to that place with them. And you're like, nah, you come up with me, put your own backpack on like Dora, and then come on up. Or you sit down at the campsite and that is okay. So just know that you have to be mindful of the people that you entertaining, but that was part of my evolution too. Who are the 5 people I'm spending the most time with? Okay. Knowing who's on my tree, as I said on that podcast, who is your roots? Who are your branches and who are your leaves? Okay. Because now it's spring and summer. I got leaves trying to come back. I said, well, where was you at in fall and winter? No, 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 no. You, we good. Boundary there for protection of me. So I think that's for somebody as well. I know Ashley talked about isolation, but I'm going to talk a little more about the power of isolation. I don't feel isolation needs to be a long period. because you need someone. But I do think there is times when God blocks you and puts you in a temporary space of isolation so you can learn you, so you can deal with your own issues. Everybody got problems, everybody got things. Nobody's perfect. You got to do your own work. You got to heal on the inside. You might meet that person again in a different body. And you don't have no time for that. You have to understand, well, what part did you play? What was your role? Own your position, those type things. That's when you're doing the cocoon work. And when you become whole, Tony Gaston talks about the 3 B's. That's called brain, body, brain. What are you doing for your body? I got sick. I had thyroid disease. Genetically, that happens in my family. So my eyes got super big. My throat was huge. And I was a little bit more overweight and I was stressed out. When you're stressed out, high blood pressure, and then, being an African American woman, all those sequelae, all those things. God dealt with me. I dealt with my body, 30 pounds down, got my thyroid all under control, blood pressure, not on no medicines, changing things around because I wanted to be healthier. I am a single mom and I want to make sure I'm being the best mom. And part of being the best mom is making sure I'm good because when I'm good, he good. When he also talks about your brain, that's why I am a mindset coach and I help you shift you to positive thoughts of what you're doing, speaking affirmations over yourself, making sure you're making these healthy boundaries. I was just coaching on Tribe this past week with one of my clients. My whole point with that I'm saying to you is you have to know your 3 B's and work on your mindset. What are you telling yourself? Are you talking to yourself nice? Because how you talk to yourself might be how you exude to others. So once I start talking to myself nice, once all the things that was happening this week, I was declaring, no, that's not real. That's not fact. And then I just kept turning around. And when my mom said, you just real different, it's because calmness is mastery. And I'm recognizing how am I talking to myself because that's how it's coming out. And so when you talk to yourself nice, it's a whole different beast. He also talks about, so I said what? And then, so what we said, brain, body, brand. What is your brand? What are you telling the streets about yourself? What is your why? So are you building legacy? Are you owning a business? Are you doing something special? Are you serving in another way? Like know your why, because when times the valley is going to come back, you want to need something to stand on to help you come up out the dirt. And so when I'm talking about standing, learning what you're standing on so you know when you come out your foundation, what they say with 3 little pigs, they came for the one with the sticks, but they couldn't come for the ones with the bricks. Period. So once you know what you're standing on, you stand on strong foundation. Because I stood on a shaky foundation and it fell all down. And I used to think everything needed to be dotted the I and the cross of the T. And that's not really real either, because guess what? Nothing is perfect. And need to know Thomas Edison failed thousands upon thousands of times trying to make the light bulb. So sometimes we get stuck in that failure and it's never fail. Win or learn. When you know your self-worth is always 100, whether you're winning or learning, anything that comes to you, whether it's person, place, or job, is just an additive. That's self-love to me. Once you know who you are, it won't matter. And the last thing I'm going to leave you with before I get ready to wrap this thing up on my part is you have to trust the process. Trust the process. So once again, the bruised caterpillar, I'm in victimhood. Oh, it happened to me. Then you say, okay, I acknowledge this. I want to do better. Now you at the cocoon. You doing the work. You doing the self talk. You changing. You doing the affirmations. You doing the boundaries. You checking your queen tribe. You not coming with the ego. You checking yourself and you just keep going. And the reason why I felt like my whole message got changed today, because this wasn't even what I was supposed to talk about, but God said, this is what we're doing. And I kept hearing, keep going. So this is for somebody. One more time for the person in the back, like I do it on a podcast. Keep going. This is for somebody. Keep going, because you're stuck in a period, and don't be stagnant. Keep going. A baby step is still a step. Keep going, because little baby steps will lead to big leaps. That's what my friend texted me. Big leaps. Keep going. But I look back, I said, man, she right. But I did a lot of baby steps. And sometimes you have to psych yourself out and just do it. Fearful. Do it, because it's something behind that. And when you can birth something and look at the beautiful thing that you've done, me being on here with y'all, this is like me birthing a baby. And I'm just so grateful that I think that is really my message. When you trust the process, is preparing you for what's to come. So all the valleys that I had thus far, like I talked about grief, I talked about losing babies, I talked about divorce. I didn't even talk about the 2 things that happened with my child that were, whew. And I mean, it's so much more. But that's enough in itself. But my whole point is, all those things made me a strong coach, made me a strong woman, made me a strong mother, made me a strong future wife. Like, you claim them things over yourself. When you know who you are, it does not matter what they say. That's for somebody too. I don't care what they say. It's what you say about yourself. Because when your lens, listen, when I put these glasses on, they know I mean business. Like, when I'm focused and I know who I am, they can't come for me then, because God told me who I am. And when you know who God say you are, it do not matter what they say. And what are they going to do? Nothing. And this is for somebody too. Sometimes people come into your old address, but you don't live there no more. So don't reside where you used to be. Reside somewhere else. That's why I said keep going. So this is for somebody. Keep going. You don't live there no more, and let them call you back to where you used to be. Okay, but that, you don't have to entertain that. I don't know. I got on that tangent, so I'm gonna shake that off. But that's for somebody real quick. So now that I have talked about the testimony to evolution, the ladies thought we should do some Q&A, but we also were thinking about doing a panel. So I'm going to put some comments up, and then we're going to let you kind of talk. We kind of did that thing. So I'm going to put some comments up, okay? Because I didn't realize we had all these comments. Here we go. They're like, yes, thank you so much. We had on here, come on now, one more person in the back. Yes, okay, freedom, breaking free. I'm going to speak on that too. And I also, Aaron told me I got to put it up as a story. You right, girl. When I put the three hands up and I talk about the power in letting go, when you have the scar, you holding on to this rope so tight, but when you let go, woo, small steps leading to big steps. Okay. And as Brittany said, period. Okay. We sound like Uncle Tony out here. Tony Gaskin. That's what he say, period. Okay. So I'm going to put us all up here. And if you guys have any questions in the comments, if y'all have anything that y'all want us to talk about, if not, I'm going to kind of let us do a little wrap up and see if the ladies have anything else that they wanted to say. I'm going to see if Coach K has anything else she wants to say.
Listen, I don't know. I think I'm kind of speechless. Let me just say thank you. First of all, I am completely honored to sit on this panel with both of you ladies. And I'm just sitting here and I'm amazed because I was telling Ashley and Janine, like, I was fine up until yesterday. And then all night, I really struggled on what I was going to say and how I was going to present it. And I think this is why. I think that everything that everybody said today was meant to be said. And I think it's so hard. Like, with trauma, the first response is silence, right? And I learned that through building on your story, right? I'm able to sit on this panel because I couldn't continue to act like it didn't happen. I couldn't continue to be silent and pretending like those wounds weren't open because I was hanging on by thread. Like, if you've ever battled yourself internally, then anything in your path is it's on. You're a ticking time bomb. So you just have to learn to create that community, and that is what I learned that from doing On Your Stories. It's so many different ladies that I highlight, and they come on and they tell their stories and they tell how they overcame. And a lot of them do talk about God and how God stepped in and how they feel like God left them in the midst of whatever. Through my own story, I was angry. I was so upset. But one thing I didn't say about my journey was when I started to have those dreams about the baby, and when he asked me, can I help you birth your dream? I was so, because of the different traumas that I've experienced throughout my life that I held on to and I didn't talk about, I was so unsure about myself and the steps that I was taking, from the abuse and the self-doubt and all the different things that I experienced when I did ask God for confirmation. Okay, He's telling me, let me help you birth your dream, but I think that's what I'm supposed to do, but I'm still unsure. I asked for confirmation, and I asked for confirmation at 6 o'clock in the morning. And honestly, I'm gonna be honest, I forgot that I even asked for it, right? So I think that was 2020. Yeah, it was 2020. And my goal for that year was to read like one section of the Bible with my kids every night before we go to sleep, because I was trying to build that relationship with God and also introduce him to my children, because I know I couldn't have started my healing process without those people showing up and saying what he told them to say to me. So within that, I struggled because some of the Bible I don't understand, some of the language, the lingo. And I called my dad, like, didn't you give me a Bible where it was a little bit easier to understand? And he started fussing at me because I had been here for like 3 or 4 years and never opened it. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't even know where it was. So I did end up finding it, and I was comparing whatever we were reading. And then in the back of the Bible, I found a prayer request from 2015 that said that I wanted to start a girl/support group for women and girls who struggled with self confidence and self worth. Basically, all the things that I was about to start doing with Journey. So that was my confirmation. And I'm saying all of that to say this is you can't go around whatever your journey is. It's already been designed for you. You have to go through those things so you can get to where you need to be. And even within those toxic relationships, for years, I resented those situations, those people, because I wasn't owning my own part in it. And up until when I really realized my part, I was able to like release myself from it. And now walking into different relationships, it doesn't just have to be intimate, but I know not to allow myself to stay past the expiration date, because I can take from those experiences now. I can take from where I've been and the things I went through and own it, because I wasn't always right either. That goes into checking yourself. You're not always right, and understanding that I'm not always right and calling myself on my own stuff when I am wrong helps me to become her, because that's where I am now. I'm becoming the version of me that I was always that person, but I couldn't see it because of all the things that was in front of it, which was the trauma, the self-doubt, the low confidence, low self-esteem, all of those things. So now as I started my healing journey, I'm able to see the woman that I was always designed to be. So that's just what I wanted to say to you ladies, or whoever needed that, because I didn't mean to tell that part.
That was totally good. I'm gonna get ready to put Miss Ashley on the spot. You got anything else you want to say, Miss Ashley?
Yes, I would just like for everyone that's here to listening to not allow fear to keep you from your purpose. One of the things that I think held me back for so long is that I was afraid. I was afraid of my healing. I was afraid of what people would say once I had to be vulnerable. I was afraid of what I would lose. And that fear held me back for more years than it should have. So I would tell people, everyone listening, don't allow fear to distract you from the blessings that God has for you. Because people always say, the greatest trick the devil ever played is that he doesn't exist. And I always say, no, we know he exists. The greatest thing he does is distracts us from what he can't take away from us. And he can get you so far off the path of your blessing that you will forget that it's even there. He can't take anything that God has promised for you, but he can distract you from it. So just don't allow fear to keep you from your purpose, from what you have in your heart. If there is something that keeps you up at night that God has ordained you to do, step into it. Don't be afraid. If he put it in you, he will give you the tools that you need to get there. So just don't allow fear to take you from the path that God has designed for you. It is your birthright. We were born to be great. We were born to make a difference. And we don't want to get to heaven and tell God that we missed the mark because we allowed fear to keep us from it. So that's what I would say.
Oh man, wow. I'm just looking at the comments. If y'all didn't see it while y'all were talking, they said, "This is amazing." And then they said, "Listen, y'all dropped some gems today. I'm so glad that they had a part to share with us on this self love Saturday with all three of us. Isn't that nice?" And they always like to keep their cup full. Man, Listen, y'all have blessed me uh in the tribe, and whoever's going to see this, because we shared it with your own communities. You have brought a word. Talking about both of y'all, you have brought a word, okay? And I think we shared some stories that were hard places for us at points in times where we would never talk about, and that suffer in silence, we said. So we just went on and set somebody free because we showed them that we could still talk about it, but look at the out what's the word, how you come out of the storm or how you come out of the valley. We showing you on the high road, but we told you where it was when we was in the low spots, and you can't get here if you didn't address here. And I thought that was really good. I don't really have anything else I want to say. One other person put a comment up. Miss LaTorch said, thank you all for sharing your stories and words of inspiration to overcome and keep going. So I really believe that the message that I ended with, that I really soaked in, is struggling in silence, never alone, keep going, and overcome fear. Okay. And I think those are some powerful things that people really struggle with. And as I said, we didn't know who was going to do this, but the enemy was busy. I also believe the roar of the lion is designed you to turn and run into his mouth. So the roar makes you get distracted, because you said distracted, and that's what I prayed over with my mom this morning. So I already know about distraction because the enemy couldn't come from me no other way. And so I made sure to show up and say, you will not distract me. Your girl will still pivot, and we gonna do this thing regardless. And that's how I know this is for somebody every time. So you make sure you know calmness and be mindful of the distraction. That's why I said keep going, and that's why I feel like my message shifted. So whoever that's for, we know that's for y'all. And it seems like all three of us as speakers have given you that same alignment. So that energy is for somebody out there. We want to thank everybody for coming. We want to thank everybody who's going to watch this on the replay. I'm going to put all my guests back up there to have a feeling to talk if they want to. And I'm going to say follow me at intentionalqueenjourney.com. I have a free newsletter. I have an ebook. That's my thing. The podcast comes every other Thursday. So make sure to listen to their episodes because we blessing people all over. And I mean, that's my thing. I'm going to let them go ahead. I think Ashley have a newsletter as well, right? So people can go there as well. So make sure to follow us on the social media platforms. Same thing with Coach K. She's doing big things over there. So make sure to follow her. And that's all I got for you guys. Is there anything else you want to say before we wrap this up? We did it early, but hey, we served the people what they needed. That's what I'm about, is what they needed. So we don't have to make it fluffy. Is there anything else you want to say before we get these people out of here?
I just like to say, for anyone that's struggling, please know that you got help here, between myself, Coach K and Janine, that we're here. You do not have to struggle alone. I believe that God sends people right when we need them. With meeting Janine and meeting Coach K, we did not know each other. As Janine said, this was God's design, and I'm so blessed to be a part of it. So if you know anyone, if you need it, or if you know someone that needs help, please reach out to one of us. We are in this world trying to do God's mission for our lives, and we want everyone to heal. And so if you know someone that needs help, please don't hesitate to reach out to one of us, jump in our DMs, or if you have a question here, feel free to ask us. But I just don't want anyone to leave today knowing that they don't have an avenue to reach out for help. I'm Ashley J. White on Instagram and on TikTok. And my website is donsbreakcoaching.com. As Janine said, my business name is Don's Break because Don is my middle name. And, when you get married, you have to drop your middle name. So this is my reclaiming my middle name through my business. So it's Don's Break Coaching. I help people that are struggling with divorce, going through a difficult heartbreak, just getting back into the dating game and just don't know what to do. I help you get through those mental blocks. So reach out if you need any help. All three of us have dedicated our lives to healing process and to healing women of color and to blessing the lives of those who need it the most. So please do not suffer in silence. Do not suffer alone. God is with you, and let us be the help and guide to journey you back to your healing.
And so that's all I have. I say level up your intentional queen to a better you. I'm going to get ready to sign out with my guests and say thank you, everybody. Make sure to share this with someone that needs the word. This link will go further so you can watch this on replay for the people who end up seeing this later. So we hope you like it. Drop some comments in there and you will be able to, I'll probably throw in their websites on the
drop down menu on everything they said, so that way you can click into their links and be able to see them. Other than that, that's it, guys, and we're going to wrap this on up and end the broadcast. Okay, bye bye.